Today is a special edition of Solving Your Driver Problem podcast. We're going to focus on one story of one empty seat that will forever remain empty. Sergeant Jeremy F. Hardison. Ron Patterson has joined me today to tell Jeremy's story and a special event to honor him. Ron is the director in safety for Puryear Tank Lines, a longtime customer and friend of Avatar Fleet. Ron, thank you so much for taking the time today to share Jeremy's story. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Scott, and I want to thank you guys at Avatar for helping get this story out. I think it's one that needs to be told.
It absolutely does, and we're happy to do it, and thank you for the opportunity to do so. Why don't we just get into it, because it's about Jeremy today, not about us. Sergeant Jeremy F. Hardison, he was killed in action on October the 1st, 2012 in Afghanistan. Would you mind just sharing us a little bit more about his story, what happened that day?
Yeah, Jeremy was one of our drivers. Puryear promotes ourselves as a family-owned business, and I think most people think that means when we say family, that's just because it's owned by the Puryear family. But we have several drivers that work for us and have worked for us for many years, and now we've got sons of drivers that work here. We've got spouses of drivers that work here. So when we say family company, it's the Puryear family, but it's also the members of our driver fleet, office staff are all, not all, but there's a lot of family members that work here. So there's a big Jeremy was one of our drivers in 2012. He was 23 years old, ironically, same age as my son. And he was, while he was employed here, he was also in the Army Active Reserves, and his unit was called up to go to Afghanistan. And throughout the years, we've had many reserve troops that worked for us, and we've had many of them deployed and always came back safely. And so kind of the same, we kind of thought that would be the same case with Jeremy when he was called up and deployed. And always in the back of your mind, you think there's a chance. And so Jeremy's unit was called up in 2012, and his unit, he was in an MP unit, and they were tasked with training police officers in Khost, I think it's Khost, Afghanistan. And so they were doing a joint mission with Afghanistan troops and MPs. And unfortunately, they were approached by a suicide bomber on a motorcycle that rammed his motorcycle into their vehicles shortly after they just got out of their vehicles. And Jeremy and two other troops from his unit were killed, and I think 60 were injured, and there were several civilians killed. So it was a rough day for Puryear. Obviously a rough day for his family and friends, but it was a rough day for us all.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, everyone that drives for Puryear is a part of the family, and you get to know people that work for you. What type of person was Jeremy?
Man, he was extremely bright young man. Had the world in front of him. He was while he was working with us, he was taking classes at NC State. I think he had a dream of being an aircraft designer, and he certainly had the intelligence to do that. So he was working, going to school, and also a member of the reserve. So there was no lack of effort on his part or commitment or work. He had a great work ethic, and just extremely sharp young man. He was even at his young age, he picked up what we did so quickly. He helped train some of our newer employees. So just a tragedy all the way around, but he was just a super young man. Just can't say enough good things about him. Never had any issues with him whatsoever. He was a joy to be around.
23 years old and train the young guys. That speaks a lot about what type of person he is.
Yeah, he actually trained older people that were hired, just newer employees.
Right.
He trained them, the Puryear way. So.
Yep, he picked up on it quickly, and lived out the values, which is part of the reason why Puryear is out here promoting his story. So tell us a little bit about what's going on and his connection, with his father, driving for Puryear, and how you guys plan on honoring him this Memorial Day.
Well, Puryear has always been involved in some form or another in motorsports, particularly NASCAR racing. We sponsor race cars in several different divisions, and some of the young drivers that we've sponsored locally have gone on in their careers. And we started with Jeb Burton, and Jeb Burton is now drives in the Xfinity series. And so typically we sponsor the Jeb Burton's car at Charlotte Motor Speedway for Memorial Day race every year. And past few years we've done that. And because it's a Memorial Day race, we go with a flag scheme on the car. It's an absolutely beautiful car. And so we were talking about what we could do this year for Memorial Day, and came up with the idea of, in addition to the flag theme on the car, we're going to put the names of fallen heroes, troops that were killed in different battles on the car. And there's going to be several hundred names on the car. To honor Jeremy, actually Jeb came up with the idea of putting Jeremy's name on the car where Jeb's name usually goes. So if you're a race fan, the driver's name usually goes over the driver door and the passenger door. And so this year, instead of Jeb Burton, it'll say Sergeant Jeremy F. Hardison. And so that was a pretty cool idea that we had. And Nine Line Apparel, who is a veteran-owned and operated company, heard about the story. And so they're going to make a special T-shirt featuring the car and the names on the car and Jeremy. And so they're going to donate the proceeds of the T-shirt sales to an organization called Project Healing Waters, who works through the Ward Burton Foundation. And they do lots of great work for injured veterans who return from a war with different disabilities, get them involved in outdoor activities and things like that. So anyway, that's what's going to happen with the car. Jeremy's father, who still works for us, and his sister are, we're going to kind of honor them at the race. They're going to be given the VIP treatment. They're going to get obviously VIP suite seats, and before the race, we're going to take them down into the pit and garage area. They'll be able to tour the pit and garage area. They'll be able to meet the race drivers, including Jeb, and be able to have the opportunity to have pictures made with the car with Jeremy's name on it, and with Jeb and other drivers and other VIPs that'll be there. So it's it kind of just all organically came together. I'd love to tell you we sat down and had a big planning session and came up with all this, but it just all it's just kind of played itself out, and this is the way it's worked out. And I think I think Jeremy's story is great. I think it's a great way for Puryear to honor Jeremy and his family, and just so they know how much that Jeremy meant to us and how much they mean to us.
So Ron, I've heard you say that over the years that when it comes to supporting veterans, it wasn't just a grand plan from Puryear, it was just how you do things. And so y'all eat humble pie, so you don't like to brag about it. But if you don't mind, would you mind bragging just a little bit about what Puryear quietly does behind the scenes to support veterans?
Again, this is I'd love to tell you we had a great plan for that, but it's just kind of what we've always done. It's kind of always been in our culture to support veterans. Obviously, we've got we hire veterans. We've got, I don't know how many, we've got a lot of veterans that work for us as drivers and as office staff. And it's nothing that again that we planned. It's just the way things are. We've always supported veterans groups. We've always, quietly donated to different organizations, and we don't want any credit for it. We just think it's the American thing to do. There's no on our part, there's no looking for thank yous or anything like that. We want to be the ones saying thank you to our troops and our veterans. And so just kind of the way we've always done things is it's just kind of in our blood.
So if someone, hears this story and, wants to participate or get involved or support Nine Line or Project Healing Waters, what's the best way to do that, Ron?
Well, today's Friday, and I think Nine Line is supposed to roll out the shirt on their website today. So you can go to ninelineapparel.com. I would encourage everybody, if you want a shirt, please buy one. It's going to a good cause. But also, while you're buying your T-shirt, check out the organizations that actually do the good work. The Warburton Wildlife Foundation, the Project Healing Waters, Nine Line Apparel, of course, Jordan Anderson Racing, and Jeb Burton. We couldn't do it without them. So, send some love their way, because they're some of their ideas for this whole project came from those guys. And racing, I think that a lot of people look at it like it's a lot of fun to be a race car driver and a car owner, and I can 100% assure you there's a lot of work involved in what they do. And on a national circuit, there's a lot of work, a lot of logistics in transporting the cars where they need to be on time and getting them back and having them repaired. So there's a lot of work involved, and these guys have a really unbelievably busy schedule, and for them to take time out to help us with this project, that says a lot about those guys. We couldn't do it without any of those guys. Nine Line Apparel is another great organization owned by veterans, actually started by veterans, and so they have lots of cool apparel, T-shirts, hats there. And so just if you want a T-shirt, buy the T-shirt definitely, but check out these organizations that do good work.
Mm-hmm. And I've seen on Project Healing Waters, there's opportunities to volunteer as well. And, for the outdoorsmen out there, helping folks, whether they're disabled or not, physically, emotionally, getting out there, fly fishing, hiking, biking, etc. It seems like a very good cause. And so I want to thank you, Ron, for the opportunity to promote them. And thank you for supporting the Hardison family. But that's like supporting your brother, right? Of course. Why would you not do that? That's how you guys operate.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's just what you do, There's no, it's just what you do.
Well, you're doing the right thing for him. And I'll say this, I lost a friend about the same time in Afghanistan. And I remember his mother. That was a thing that every year when we come back on the day, that it still means that much to her, right? You can feel the goosebumps starting. And it just means a lot to these parents that lost their sons, that made the ultimate sacrifice, that truly are never forgotten. And that means a lot to them.
Yeah. And I think it's, one of the things you sit and, like most people, you're going to maybe watch the news, wherever you get your news from, social media, whatever. And you'll, hear a story about, well, there were 20 troops killed today, or 5 troops killed today, or, whatever happens. And it kind of gets blurry to the world, but each one of those people is a story. And obviously you think about their families and their friends and the people that are affected. It's way more exponential than just the immediate family that is touched when someone is killed. Jeremy, obviously his family, his mother, sister, his wife, stepchild, obviously they're disturbed by that, and what they have to go through is terrible. But it's amazing how many people outside the family are touched by each one of those individuals. So when you hear about a troop dying, there's probably hundreds of people that are affected by that. And it's just a tragedy. And I think it's very important that we never forget those troops and the sacrifice they made and their family made and their friends and their co-workers and all the people's lives who they touched. It's important never to forget about those people as well.
Yes, sir. These veterans have seen, many of them have seen hell on earth. And so we'll include links in this to support those causes and those organizations that are helping those veterans who, whether they made the ultimate sacrifice for their families or they themselves are back, but still coping with what they dealt with, what they saw. So we'll include all that. Go ahead, Ron.
I'm just saying, and we're able to enjoy podcasts and go to races on Friday nights and Saturdays and watch football on Sundays. We're able to do these things because of those people. And it's easy to take for granted, the enjoyable things that we do every day, but that wouldn't be possible without the sacrifices made by our military.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that. And with that, Ron, anything else to add besides go get them, Jeb?
Just want to encourage everybody to buy a shirt. Again, you can go to ninelineapparel.com, order the shirt, and rest assured that the money is going to a good cause. And we want to sell as many shirts as we possibly can for Nine Line and make sure that check to Project Healing Waters is as big as it can be.
I love it, Ron. Well, thank you for letting us be an extension of your team to get the story out on this one and on all the things we do with you all. So thank you, Ron. Appreciate the time today, my man.
Thanks, Scott. I want to thank Avatar for helping us get the word out and all the things that you guys do for us. You guys are great.
Appreciate it, brother. Well, thank you all for listening to a special edition of Solving the Driver podcast, Solving the Driver Problem podcast with our main man, Ron Patterson. It's been an honor to promote the story of Sergeant Jeremy F. Hardison, and we'll catch you on the next episode.